Did you know that letters of interest are the only thing you can do to optimize your chances of getting an interview after you submit your application? Hello friends, this is Malki Asad, and in this video we're gonna talk about letters of interest, which are emails or letters you send to program directors to express your interest in their program. And if you stick until the end of this video, I'll share with you samples of letters of interest for free. Now, the first question I want to answer in this video is, when are you supposed to send letters of interest? In my opinion, the best time to send letters of interest is between submitting your application, which is the end of September usually, and the first 2 weeks of October. The reason why I recommend this time is because if someone is interested in reviewing your application after reading your email or letter of interest, they would be able to do so if your application is already submitted. While if you send this letter of interest or email before you submit your application, they won't be able to see your full application. The reason why I don't recommend sending it too late is that if you send it after the first 1 to 2 weeks of October, in which program directors start looking at applications, they might have completed reviewing all applications by the time you send your letter of interest. So if they sent it and they already reviewed the application, they are unlikely to go and look in the applications again and check your application. So that's why it's highly recommended to send it at the time that they are actively looking at application. Now, should you send an email or a letter? Should you address program director, associate program director, program coordinator? There is no right or wrong answer here. Definitely a letter would leave a long-lasting effect. It would be more impressive. It would leave a bigger impression in the person opening the letter. However, one thing to keep in mind is that hospitals in the US are extremely big, and if you send a letter somewhere, if you don't have the exact specific name and address and floor, it might not reach where you want it to go. So that's why emails are way more convenient than letters. It's faster, way more likely to reach the person you're trying to sending it to. Therefore, most applicants send emails when they're talking about letters of interest. I recommend you send it to the program director. Sometimes it's hard to find the emails of program directors. So in that case, you can send it to the program coordinator or one of the associate program directors that you can find their email. If you have both the email of the program director and the program coordinator, you might consider sending it to the program director and CCing the program coordinator. As I said, there is no right or wrong. You might be sending it to someone else who you have connection to. So if you have a faculty in that department that you know personally or from the same school, from the same country, it might be a good idea to address the letter of interest or email of interest to that person rather than the program director that you have no idea about. Are there any instances where you should not send letters of interest? And the answer is yes, of course. If the program said they do not want to receive letters of interest, do not send letters of interest. Some specialties have very clear policies about not sending letters of interest. So in that case, don't send letter of interest. But if they didn't specify that, go ahead and send your letter of interest. You have to understand though that in most instances, letters of interest will not help you. However, they won't hurt you. And if they can increase your chances of matching by 1 or 2 or 3%, that is amazing. Because at the end of the day, you only need one program to accept you. So that program might come from the letter of interest or from your application. And if it's something that will not hurt but help, then go for it. And now, what should you include in your letter of interest? The two most important things to include in your letter or email of interest are your strength and why are you interested in the program. So here comes the importance of individualizing that email of interest. I've seen some applicants who send the same template to everyone, and that is a terrible mistake. So your letter of interest has to start with the name of the person you're addressing it to, talking specifically about the strength of that program you're expressing interest in, and then talking about your strength, which in most cases will be the same among programs, but you might highlight certain characteristics of you that appeal to certain programs. So if you're expressing interest in a program that places a huge value on research, you might highlight your research qualities more than other things. If you're applying to a program that doesn't have much research but focus mainly on clinical, you might consider focusing on the clinical stuff more than the research. So the strength part will be mainly the same, but you can adjust it based on what the program is looking for. Make sure to keep it concise. The shorter and more concise it is, the more likely someone will read it. And by the way, if you need help editing or drafting your email of interest or letter of interest, we have expert advisors who can guide you through this process so you can express your interest in the programs in the best way possible. And a pro tip here, don't be shy. You have to talk about your strength in a very concise way. And I know some people might recommend not including your scores, not including your publications. This is the place to talk about that. I personally recommend including your scores if they are high and in your opinion a strength point, including a number of publications applications or presentations if you have a decent number. If you have a green card or citizenship, that's something to include. And any outstanding accomplishment that might interest programs in you. Another pro tip is the subject line. Definitely include your AAMC ID, but you can also include one-liner that includes all your strength. So if the program director was not interested in opening your email, they can look at this subject line and say, oh my gosh, I need to look at this application. And they can go and open the email and possibly read your application. And definitely attach your ERAS application to the email in case the program director didn't have time to go and search among the pile of applications. And now before we move on to go over a sample of a letter of interest, make sure to check out our letter of interest editing that I'll leave the link for that in the description below. So your letter of interest or email of interest should start with Dear, and then you mention the program director name. As I said, you have to be very specific who you're sending this to. Don't just say Dear Program Director or Dear Sir, Madam, as I've seen sometimes. You have to mention Dear Doctor and put their last name so they know at least you spent some time looking their name. The first line, I recommend you mention what is the purpose of the email. So if they're not interested in reading, they delete it and you don't waste their time. But if they're interested, they can keep going. Sometimes it's very difficult to know what is the purpose of the email. Sometimes I receive very long emails, all the paragraphs lumped together, and I have hard time figuring out what does this person need. So make it easy for program directors or the people looking at this email so you have a higher chance of your email being read. So this one starts, I'm writing to express my strong interest in the internal medicine residency program at the University of Michigan. Very clear, to the point. Then the applicant will talk in 2 small paragraphs about their strengths and why the program should choose them. Following medical school at Madras Medical College in India, I spent 2 years studying cardiac regenerative medicine at Weill Cornell Medicine Cardiovascular Research Institute. My work in this area has already resulted in 3 oral presentations and I'm currently preparing 2 manuscripts, one of which I'll be the first author. So you'll see here the applicant is selling themselves as a research heavy applicant. They're talking about their research in Weill Cornell, how many publications they have, how many presentations they have, and of course that's because they're applying to Michigan. Michigan is another great institution with heavy focus on research. If you're applying to a community program, it might not be the best idea to open your strength with you talking about research. So that's what I mean by tailoring your letter of interest to the program you're applying to. Now the applicant moves on to talk about clinical. Balancing my rewarding research pursuits, I've accomplished 6 months of diverse clinical rotations across internal medicine, cardiology, ED, and critical care in New Jersey. The applicant is saying here, although I'm an IMG, I did 6 months of USCE in New Jersey. As a non-visa requiring IMG, the applicant is saying here, I don't need visa because that might increase their chances of getting an interview from the program. I have completed both USMLE Step 1 262, which is great score, and Step 2 258, which is another great score. Now the applicant needs to move on and talk about why are they interested in pursuing residency at the University of Michigan. The groundbreaking advancements and research focused at the University of Michigan's cardiovascular division deeply resonate with my career goals. Finding that fit is what makes a letter of interest stand out. So the applicant said they're interested in research, this is what they've done so far, and now they're linking that to the research being done at the University of Michigan, specifically at the cardiovascular department. I'm confident that my academic and clinical background along with my dedication to research make me an excellent fit to this internal medicine residency program. And then you end up with a thank you paragraph. Thank you for considering my application. I would be honored to have the opportunity to contribute to the University of Michigan's legacy of excellence in medical research, education, and patient care. I look forward to the possibility of discussing my qualifications further. Because sometimes program directors might respond to you and they might want to meet you even before the interviews. So that's why you might consider putting that line there, and then you can mention sincerely and your name. And of course, you can say, and I've attached my ERAS application to this email, and you can attach the full ERAS application PDF. And now, as I promised you at the beginning of this video, I'll show you how to get the free samples of letters of interest, letters of intent, and multiple other match guides. If you go to our website, thematchguide.com, you'll find here at the top, one of the options is free resources. So if you go to free resources, go to residency match templates, and it will take you to a form where you can fill, and once you fill it, you will receive an email to confirm your subscription, and then you will receive the templates to your email. So you can either go directly on our website and get this template, or find the link in the description below. I also want to show you, if you would like to check our email of interest editing or letter of interest editing, you can go to services, residency match, and then you'll find letter of interest editing. Also, if you need help with your interview preparation, you can go here to residency and match and check our interview preparation packages. You can sign up for a match application package which has multiple things in the same package, such as personal statement editing, ERA CV editing, interview prep, residency advising, and so many other things. And of course, if you want to just get the personal statement or the ERA CV separately, you can find that here under residency match. You can find here the ERAS editing and the personal statement editing. As you see, things change every year with the match. That's why I recommend you subscribe to the channel so you get notified whenever I post future videos about the residency match process or research. And if you're watching this video, I assume you're applying to the match either this year or the coming years. So you have to check my interview preparation video that you can watch by clicking on the link here or checking all the match links in the description below. Thank you so much for watching and good luck on your match.